Okay, number 6 on the QR code review wants us to solve this inequality and then graph the solution set. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is bring everything to one side and say 2 over x plus 1 minus 3 over x minus 1 is less than or equal to 0. And then since I am adding two fractions together, or actually rather subtracting two fractions together, I need a common denominator. The common denominator is just the two denominators multiplied together. So this piece over here would need an x plus 1 over an x plus 1. And this piece over here, which is kind of hard to squeeze in here, is going to need an x minus 1 over an x minus 1. So I'm just creating a common denominator. So on the top, I would have 2 times that x minus 1 factor minus the 3 times that x plus 1 factor over the common denominator, which is now these two multiplied together. This is just adding fractions together. So x minus 1 times x plus 1. That's probably the hardest move that you're going to have to do. Is less than or equal to 0. Let's simplify and work with this. So this would be 2x minus 2 minus 3x minus 3 all over. I'm recognizing this as x squared minus 1. That's the difference of two squares down below. So I'm going to write it like that. Still less than or equal to 0. 2x minus 3x is negative x. And then negative 2 minus 3 is a negative 5. All over an x squared minus 1 is less than or equal to 0. Okay, now that I've broken it down, I have to get the critical points. So the critical point on the top, if I just solve this real quick, negative x minus 5 equals 0. So negative x is equal to 5, so x is equal to negative 5. That's one of my critical points, negative 5. And then on the bottom here, the critical points here I can see are just going to be positive and negative 1. Positive and negative 1. So on my number line, I have negative 5. And at that point, I would get a 0. So I'll label that for you. So right here, I would get a 0. My next one would be negative 1. And this would be an undefined point. So I'll make a little note of that. And then 1. And this would also be an undefined point. So those are my three critical points. So in this region, I have to pick a number that's to the left of negative 5. So I'll do negative 100. In this region, I have to pick a point that's in between negative 5 and negative 1. So I'll pick negative 2. In this region between negative 1 and 1, I'll pick 0. That seems to be the easiest point to pick. And then I need a number that's to the right of 1. So how about 100? So these are my test points. And I'm going to take each test point and I'm going to run them through this expression and see whether or not my answer is positive or negative. And we are looking for answers that are negative because our answer, our inequality is less than 0. So I already did that for you in the back. So here's what I did. Here's my test point, negative 100, negative 2, 0, and 100. I'm going to take that test point, I'm going to plug it into my expression, and all I care about is whether or not the answer is positive or negative. So when I take negative 100 and plug it through, I get a positive over a positive, so that's going to be positive. Take negative 2, run it through, get negative. 0, run it through, get positive. 100, run it through, you get negative. So we only care about the negative ones. So we care about this one and this one. So at negative 2 and 100. So this one works for us. So this is negative and this is negative. This is positive and this is positive. So the answer that we're looking for looks like it's going to be everything that is in between here. So I would say negative 5 and negative 1. And notice on the negative 5, I would use a bracket because it is a 0 and it says less than or equal to 0. But notice at negative 1, since it's an undefined point, I would not actually put the bracket, I'd use a parenthesis. And then do a union sign. And then the next point that's less than 0 would be from 1 all the way out to infinity. And that is our answer. That is a tough question, but hopefully that's a good little review for you.